Hello everyone, and this is going to be the modeling lesson. And in this lesson we are going to model box for the ammo, some kind of gaming box. And we are going to model this box by using hard surface technique, so we will not apply smooth subdivision after we will model it. We will just hard surface this object. So I will create a cube and approximately eyeball the size, and I will leave this cube in the center on the Z and X axis, so I will be able to use the symmetry. And let's go to the components, and this multicut I will add this cut to define the cap of the box, and this cut I will define the line of my details on the box. And I want to add some kind of indentations to the bottom of the box, and to create additional cuts we will use insert edge loop tool with multiple cuts. You can use 8 or 6 cuts. With these numbers we will get enough of this detailing. And I will enable symmetry on the world Z. And to create the form of a box, I will select these corner edges and I will bevel them. So here you can kinda experiment with the form and the segments. I will use 6 segments, but you can use, for example, 1 segment that will look cool too. And on the cap, I will select all of the edges and bevel them too. But you can see right now we can't select all of the edge with double click, but we can do it if we will go to select menu and click select continuous edge. This will allow us to get all these edges into selection. We can't select them, by the way, because we have n-gons on the way of these selections, and I will bevel these edges. So be careful with these moments. We don't need any kind of intersections right here, so be sure to leave a little bit of a space on these corners. And this is going to be our main shape. And I will go to the front view and select these faces with the box select to select them through. And let's go to perspective, and I want to push them inside with extrusion, and with thickness we can do it to get these kind of ridges. Again, we are just eyeballing them, and I will select these polygons, and I want to make handles for this object right here, and we will make inset. So it's extrusion with offset. And let's approximately adjust the size, and we can do one more extrusion inside. I'm just checking if symmetry is working, and I will scale this polygon. And I will also move these edges a little bit up to get this kind of a shape. Doesn't look too bad already. And let's move on. So right now I want to create a separation between the cap and between the box and the cap. So I will make a bevel with 2 segments. And I will extrude them inside of a box. That's just a nice little technique. Now we can take this edge and the lower edge and we can dissolve them with Ctrl Delete. And we will get this kind of a separation. Right now our edge is marked like a soft edge, so we see only the soft transition, but we can also apply a hardened edge to this edge and it will look a lot better. Okay, let's move on and let's see what we can improve. And I think I will select these ridges, these indentations, and I will scale them a little bit. But right now you can see scaling is not working properly for us, and we will need to go to scale tool settings and let's change axis orientation to components. This way we will be able to scale each component selected individually. So each part of our selection will be selected individually. So right now my gizmo is also not aligned properly. So we will need to reset the pivot. I think I'm having a bit of a brain lag right now. Yeah, I guess I had a little bit of a brain lag. And we also can move these edges a little bit down to get this kind of effect. We are just making these elements a little bit more visible. So the next thing we want to do is the handle. And here it will be a bit tricky because we will use snapping a lot. So I will scale my object and approximately I will adjust the size of the object. And I want to snap this cube to the corner of my indentation. So first of all, of course, I will need to move my origin to this vertex. And let's go to our move tool first of all. Let's press D and V and snap with middle part of manipulator selected, and let's snap it with V to the corner. So what we can do right now, we can move our origin to this vertex, to the upper right vertex, and we can snap this face all the way to the right corner in the same manner. Right now, our object is aligned perfectly, and I will move it a little bit down. And I want to make it a lot rounder. So I will select these edges and let's bevel them. I will adjust the fraction and let's add a lot of the segments to have a smooth result. I think something like that will do. We can also make our object completely round if we want, but I think I will keep approximately this shape, and I will reduce the segments a little bit because 12 is definitely overkill for this form. And the next thing I want to do is to add handles to the right and to the left. And I will snap my cut exactly to the middle of this object, and after that I will bevel my cut. So I will have two edges on the similar distance from each other. And right now it will be quite problematic to select all the edges of this object, so I will go to Isolate Selection button. But first of all I will need to select everything, of course, and click this button. Right now I can easily get access to these polygons, and I will select them. Easy as that, and we can go back from isolation and let's extrude these objects. I will press Ctrl E. After that I will press Q to confirm, and after that I will use Move tool to drag these elements up. And we can also scale these elements on the y-axis a little bit to adjust the curvature. And I think we're getting closer to the form I want to have. So the next thing I want to do is to make a hole in these handles. So I will select both of these polygons and I will delete the insets. And let's bridge these holes. Easy as that. And I also want something to hold this handle. So I will create one more cube, and this is going to be really simple object. And I want to adjust the position of this object. If you want to be really precise, you can use snapping. And I'm not sure yet if I will need it. Probably it will be easier to snap. First, let's snap to vertex and let's snap to the corner. I mean snap origin. And I will adjust this polygon a little bit. So I will just level it with the handle, and let's bevel these edges. And I think I will just add one more bevel to get a smoother look. And let's increase segments. I think 2 segments is enough right here to get a nice shading. And right now we need to mirror this object over our x-axis, and we will need to mirror it over the z-axis too. So first thing we will need to do is to snap the origin to the world origin to the 0, 0, 0 coordinate, and we can mirror this object over the x-axis and later over the z-axis. Easy as that. And let's work on the handle a little bit. Right now we have kind of a sharp edges everywhere, but it would be nice to have a little bit of a bevels. So I will add one big bevel, and after that I will add 2 small bevels. We can use 2 or 3 segments. I actually think 2 is better for this task. And we will also try to get bevels on the outside of the handle. Right now I can't select all the edge, so I will use select continuous edges button, and we will be able to add a little bit of a bevel right here with 2 or 3 segments to get a nice highlight. It would be probably problematic to add this kind of highlight to the inside of our handle. I think we will have bevel intersections, so I will just move my pivot to the world origin, and let's mirror our object over the z-axis. Looks kinda alright already. And what I want to create is kind of a triangular pattern on top of my box. And since we are not modeling with a subdivision, we will not need, we cannot care about the n-gons. Right now you can see if I will apply smooth preview, it would be a mess, but we are not caring about this too much. So if you have a flat surface and you is not modeling to subdivision surface, you can actually have n-gons and it would not spoil your work. So I will actually leave these 2 edges at the right and left side. It would be easier for me to create a pattern I want with these edges. or we can just add a cuts manually to these beveled parts from right to the left to get more surface area for the details I want. And let's make a cross cut like that. Be careful because sometimes multicut is not snapping good enough. You need to pay attention on what's happening on the screen. So I'm zooming in and out to be sure that I'm getting a proper cuts. And these triangles we can make extrusions and offsets. And right now I want to make individual offsets to each of these triangles, so I will set keep faces together to the off, and I will increase divisions to 2. This way we will have already defined boundaries. So right now we can kind of make this indentation on top, and I didn't like something here. I think I added too much of the divisions. So again, keep faces together off, and I will add only 1 division instead of 2. And we can also adjust offset and its size. Actually, I used 2 divisions anyway. Okay, so right now we can just make extrusion inside, and you can see our shading is not looking good right now. That means that we will need to add bevels, or we will need to add sharp edges. I mean hard edges. And right now when we add these hard edges, everything's starting to look good. And we will also need to add these hard edges on the outside perimeter of the polygons. Okay, now it looks kind of logical. And right now we have a lot of edges without the bevels, and that's probably will be a good idea to add some beveling to get more realistic effect. 2 segments on each bevel, and we will need to select a lot of the edges right here. For example, all of the edges inside of the indentations. And I will bevel them. Sadly, I forgot to check other side. Maybe we will need to select something on the other side too. Probably was a bit tired. and we can change miltering right here, and with the miltering you can see the structure of the bevel in the corner is actually changing a little bit. And here I'm selecting the missing edges. Okay, now I think selection is done. Let's double check and let's define the fraction and the miltering. It doesn't matter too much which miltering you will select, and the segments, I think 2 is completely enough in this case. And let's select the bottom edges. We will need our continuous edge function to select everything, and let's bevel it too. Just a small bevel to get a nice highlight. And of course, in theory, all of these details can be baked just on the low poly geometry, but in our example, we will simply add some bevels. And everything starting to look a bit smoother and nicer. And you can check maybe if you will like to add some more beveling, but I think we are done with this example.